Hey guys, it's Hither Mann here, and I'm about to tell you 10 things about me that you probably never knew before. So stay tuned and listen to what that is. Okay guys, so the reason I'm doing this video is really because I just want you to get to know me better. I'm speaking to so many of you through Fortune Academy. I've spoken to hundreds and thousands of people since 2014 when I launched the education program for forex trading. It's my favorite topic in the world, and my background, in case you guys don't know, is property and forex, and now I help people to become super wealthy just because I started from nowhere, and therefore I believe you can also do it. And now I live this incredible life where I can literally be anywhere in the world and make money off my phone, make money off my laptop, which is actually better, and ultimately I've got businesses in property. Now I'm taking companies IPO. It's a life that I would never have thought I'd have, to be very honest. I'm doing the biggest and most incredible things I could have ever imagined. But I started in a family where money was a problem. So my driving force came from when I was 9 years old and my parents were arguing about money. And quite frankly, I just thought, well, simply it's about money. So therefore, if I make lots of money when I'm older, then I can help them and they can be happy, and then that will be the end of the problems. Of course, I was a bit naive, but it does still make people happy in the sense that you have more choices. So making money has become a massive value for me and has been a reason why I want to help other people, because I do believe that half your problems, not all your problems, but half your problems will be fixed if you've got more money. So this is why I love interacting with you. Over the years, I used to be a very private person, by the way. This is not one of the 10 things, but that's, and so for me to do YouTube videos like this all the time, I really do think it's game changing for me, because I get to help more people get to understand my story. And it's not really about me, it's to show you the comparables, or show you the comparison that you too can do this, and hopefully even better than me, because I was a girl with a very small, timid little mindset at one point in my life, and I came from a very strong culture where you couldn't really just do things where you wanted. So I wasn't allowed to be living the life that I'm living right now. So it was quite a big change for me, and therefore I want to help inspire lots of women, particularly especially women from an Asian background or cultural background, very strong cultural background, religious background. All of those things were hindrances to me, in the sense of it stopped me having the freedom that I wanted for a long time in my life. So anyway, let's go on to the next step, where I tell you 10 things about me that you guys probably never knew. So the first thing is, and I actually find it a little bit guilty saying this, but I used to race cars for a living, and I used to do this in my early 20s. And why? Because I was very creative in trying to make money. I did all the good things in my eyes, I never did anything weird and wonderful. I never got into drugs, I never got into alcohol. My first drink was when I was 27, so I was I was very sensible when I was young. But racing cars was I was a bit of an adrenaline junkie. So I used to race cars, and that's why I've been a petrol head ever since. I've been a petrol head since a very young age, because I grew up in a family, extended family, not my own family, but an extended family where they had, my uncle had Ferraris, and everybody else had nice things. So I could see wealth when I grew up, but my dad didn't have any, because they were not very sharing, and my dad's brothers were quite selfish with their money, and therefore they kept it to themselves, and they left him to be fend for himself. And he was in a family business but was not given anything. So I learned a lot from his mistakes. Bless myself, a bit of a petrol head. Now I've really calmed down quite a lot. I drive quite sensibly, I think, but I always have to have a car that has more than 500 brake horsepower since the age of 23, when I could afford it. So 23, 24, 23, when I could start affording big cars. I always had to have a car that had more than 500 brake horsepower. The most I've had is a 620 brake horsepower Bentley. I've driven a 750 brake horsepower Porsche GT3 RS. Now that was pretty cool. I think it was 720 or 750, I'm not sure, but that was incredibly powerful. And now I don't care. It's just got to be over 500 brake horsepower. As long as it's got the power to overtake people, then I'm happy. So the other thing I wanted to share with you is number 2 is I used to suffer from a lot of anxiety, like incredible, crippling amount of anxiety when I was younger, to the point where I actually thought I was in a deep state of depression. I used to have days in my early 20s, I would say particularly late teenage years, up to at least 24, 25, maybe 26 or maybe 27 up to that point, but definitely the worst was up to 24 years old. And I used to get points where I'd wake up in the morning suicidal, and I never wanted to go to work. I didn't care about money, even though I had some or was starting to make big money. I just was the most unhappy person because I was living a very incongruent life. So I was trying to fit in with a culture that was very strict and very against what I believe. So I grew up in a very strong Sikh Asian cultural background where they're so militant, where, you know, my uncle was a dictator. My parents used to listen to them all the time, like my uncles and anyone older than him. It was respect the elders and do what they do and do whatever people did in the million years before, because that's the way it goes, and they respect elders without even questioning their belief systems. I don't believe that anyone should be respected purely because of age. I believe you need to earn that respect no matter how old or young you are. So that was a reason of some serious like anxious moments, anxiety moments, and that's what drove me to such strong personal development. And I think you'll find that's quite universal for people who are in the self-development industry right now, you know, and they all share that common thing whereby they've all had a horrible background to the point where they then had to reach out to somebody else. So I've had coaches, I went to counseling, I went to loads of I had loads of mentors. You know, the best people, the most inspiring people that got me out of that were finding real life mentors, like people that were much older than me, or like doing things in the property industry. That's what I was into then. That was during that period of time. That was when I was very anxious and down and out. I didn't know anything about forex. I started forex in 2008, and by that point I was pretty much okay, or maybe 2009. But anyway, my point being, I've had so many coaches, and that's why I love doing it for other people. And that's why mental health is something that I absolutely love, and I've got charity for it, because now I believe that it's one of my vehicles. So Fortune Academy is a massive advocate of mental health awareness, and I want to help. So if you're part of the Fortune family, then technically you're part of a mental health awareness campaign that I've got, and I have got a charity called the Fortune Family Foundation, which is effectively helping people who are in a working environment, who are, you know, not just sitting on medication at home bombing away, because that's just gone too far in my opinion. And I can try and help you, but I think you've made a big decision there to not want to do anything. But really the ones who are still trying, like I was going to work, I was trying my hardest, and there were days when I actually felt like giving up. And those are the people I want to help, the ones who are still out there active but very unhappy because something's massively incongruent, but they just don't know what it is. So that's why I want to help you, and that's why Fortune Academy's motto is mindset before money. Okay, let's get a little bit light-hearted. Number 3 on my list, I've written down a list. And by the way, this is my keep it cool in the sun type of spray. It's French, I think. Yeah, French. Anyway, number 3 is, what's my favorite food? My favorite food is actually pizza, Dr. Oetker's to be exact. Dr. Oetker's a billionaire making pizzas. That's quite an achievement, but he deserves it for the way they taste. And then secondly, my absolute, if I could make this a full-on staple meal, I would, but ice cream is my favorite thing in the world, and chocolate. So that's not one, it's pizza, ice cream and chocolate, 3 of my favorite things in the world. And I have a good day if I have one of those in my life. Yeah, so there you go. If you think, oh my god, how she stays slim though? Well, I go to the gym and I have an 80-20 rule, so I have 80% of my days clean. I have good breakfast, lunch, evening or mid-afternoon meal, and then the night time might be a bit naughty, but that's the 80-20 split. Another thing you might find really weird is number 4 is, I was a quiet kid at school. So most people think, oh my god, you talk so much, how the hell were you the quiet kid? At school I was this absolute nerdy kid who actually I knew I wasn't very good looking. I knew that I was like the geek at school, and I knew that I had less friends because of it, or I was less popular because of that. I never got invited to friends stuff, you know, like people had house parties and cool things at school, and I've always never fitted in as a young person. And that's because, again, my parents were so strict, I couldn't even leave the house, so they were overprotected. I was very sheltered growing up, and but I was quite happy. I had two of my sisters, but you know, generally growing up like that, I knew that I never had quite fitted in. And that is, how is that a good thing or bad thing? Well, I think it was a great thing in hindsight, because I became very independent in my thought. I don't think fitting in is particularly useful when you're young, because you get so carried away. You're so impressionable at a young age that I don't actually think it's a good thing to be like the popular kid at school. And if you are, then it will consume your energy massively. If you already are, then great, but hopefully you've got some independent thought left within you. But at that age, you're so consciously looking at how you appear, how popular you are. The validation thing is huge, and generally kids just don't care about the more important things. I was very good academically, and I was very good at sports, because I thought that was the only things that I can apply my energies into. And to be fair, that did make me kind of popular at the end, but not that I cared. That's the most important thing. I didn't care in the end. I didn't care about fitting in, because I had like a inner burning passion to be like, I'm one day going to be really popular, or not even popular. One day I'm going to be incredible, and you're going to look at me in awe. I think the quiet kids at school come out always very different to what you expect. So there you go. That was me. When you finally come out your shell, when you're at university, etc., it's a big change, and it's a good change. So that's something else you didn't know about. So number 5 is something that, again, quite personal, and I actually am making this video very, very personal, in the sense of I'm telling you things that I've never told other people. And I am doing that because I mean, only a very small handful of people know, but I'm doing it because I want to help people see that they're not alone, because I do feel mental health is a big one, and mental health can be stemming from all sorts of things. And when I was younger, the thing that you guys probably didn't know about me was that I ran away from home. And you're like, oh my God, did you? Yes, I did. I was 19, I believe. I absolutely hated my parents, and my mom in particular made my life hell, because she was because I had a boyfriend from a culture that wasn't allowed, you know, when I was at university, and I had this boyfriend. I think I might have been 19, but it was pathetic. Like, you know, the culture I grew up in, if I was in a different religion, I'm not going to say which, because people will be like, oh, she's going to be like slandering another religion, but there would be some sort of honor killing had I been in another religion. But we were very much similar kind of culture I grew up in. It's pathetic. I am very anti strong cultures that impose belief systems on kids, and like all sorts of generations that they're left in the back, you should move back to where you came from if you're that fucking old-fashioned in your thinking. I believe, because I grew up in England, I was born in Kenya. It's a British colony, so I grew up with a very Western thinking. My parents also grew up in the British colony. My grandparents grew up in India. I've never had relatives in India. I've been to India once, so I really don't understand the culture. I don't like it, in the sense of, I mean, I like the culture, but I don't want to be part of this backward culture, which is you have to get arranged marriage, or you can only get married to people that your parents approve of. So I lived in that world, and I hated it. So I left home thinking that these people are absolutely screwed in the head, because they were not allowing me to be free. So anyway, my point being that I think it's important to, eventually I came back, of course, but there was very different understanding to my parents and me, and they kind of, that was the first realization for them, to realize that she won't actually listen to us. If we're going to impose strong rules, she's just going to leave. So then they had to really drop back in their over-the-top thinking and pushing and forcing a culture upon me, which I didn't believe in. And it started a cascade of me being very much left out in the family. And again, that was what drove me to be super successful, because I knew that the only way to be free is to have lots of money. So because when you have lots of money, I ran away with being fairly broke. I mean, 19, I was okay. I had some money. I had enough to run away with, but not enough for me to be like, fly to another country, live in a nice house, get a new job. I didn't really understand life. So my mission is to make sure people have lots of money and have the skill set to create it, because then you can really create that life you want, and you can create that life where the family relationships you have are, you know, out of your choice, and you can pick and choose who you want to speak to and who you don't want to speak to. And I think the best family members in your life will always come back, because they do, the closest ones, and you will be understood. So I think money making is very important for that reason. It brought me freedom. It's something that I would never ever go without, and I love it, and I want people to have it too. Hey guys, so I'm thinking this video is getting a little bit long, which is good, and also I'm thinking maybe put it into 2 parts. So this was part 1 of the top 10 things you didn't know about me, and I'm going to do part 2 where I give you the other 5 things, and trust me, they're really powerful. I think it's going to help a lot of people, and I hope you enjoyed this video, because the aim was to help you feel empowered, to help you feel not alone in any kind of difficult situation in your life. And if you're ever struggling mentally, financially, then remember, I've been there too, and I have really come out of a really dark part of my life, and I know it's possible for you guys to do it. So please, please don't give up. That's the biggest message I can give you. And come to one of my events, or come and meet me, speak to me at my webinars. Make sure you click on the links below, because what I teach you at Fortune Academy is how to be wealthy, how to get your mindset right, how to make you super wealthy in your life, because ultimately when you have wealth, you have freedom, you have choices, and it's all about mindset before money. So get your mindset right and you'll have the money. So I do both of those training programs at Fortune Academy. Really can't wait to work with you guys. So see you in part 2, where I'll go through the next 5 things you don't know about me. Bye.